Some people believe America is a firm handshake. I think a lot of people think America, the equivalent of America, isn't a hug, isn't a dap. People still call it dap. I don't know. That's what we called it in the 90s when you, I guess, fist bump. I always thought it was a dap. Anyways, I think a lot of people think America is the equivalent of America in a gesture is a firm handshake. Wrong. What's up, Solus? I don't believe America is a firm handshake. America is the equivalent of a gesture being a firm handshake. I believe that America should go back to bowing. Well, I don't think we ever went to bowing, but in certain Japan, China, I know when I did Kung Fu, we bowed. I think that's what it should be. You show more disrespect not bowing to someone. What's up, Wonder? You need to do more lives with the hair flown. Best comment. Nah, I put it away. It's all tucked up. It's wild. It has a thing of its own and gets in my face. But yeah. It just hit me today. Someone went to shake my hand and I just put the dap out. And I said, I said, my kids have been sick, so let me dap you. And he was like, I don't care. I was like, yeah, I just didn't shake. I just still dapped him, and he kind of slapped my hand. And I thought, that's very American. Somebody just so firmly committed to wanting to shake your hand that they don't give a shit. And I ain't having it. Now, does it matter that it's like the highest boss that I deal with at my work? I don't know. Don't change for me. I don't like shaking hands. I don't know. Do you like shaking hands? We're going to talk about Boy Meets World, the podcast, and Harriet Tubman getting finally recognized as a general. We're going to talk about some news, but I've been thinking about that a lot. How like America is very like, oh, let's handshake. Is the handshake American? Does that go back to something farther in Europe, maybe? I feel like it's got to be European. I hate the handshake. I think it's stupid. I'd rather go to bowing. Maybe I should start doing that. I've been dapping people because I don't like to. There's a huge Janice. Really, Jesse Higgins? Really? Oh, I know Hugh. But I don't know Hugh Janice. I know Hugh Jass. No, you almost didn't. I know all the good dad jokes. Try again. Try again. But I think it'd be better to, maybe I'm going to start bowing when I meet people. But it would only take effect. I would have to bow every time I seen them, and I would have to bow many times so people understood that I bowed as a sign of respect. So that way, when I want to say F you to these people, I just bow a little bit. I went, that would be my bow to people I don't like. I shall try again tomorrow. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Oh, I'm so bad at saying that. Hit subscribe and the notification bell. I go live 5 days a week. So, Jesse Higgins, I welcome the challenge, my friend. Try to get me with Hugh Janice. Don't try Hugh Jass. I know that one. I'm trying to think. I had a teacher named Mr. Dickerts, believe it or not. And he was from the town of Holding. My dad thought that was hilarious. And I thought the dude was a perv. Jesse, you're mine. I'm just... Okay, sorry, Wonder. I didn't get to read your question. I have a question. My buddy at work has Bitcoin. He says as soon as Trump became president, his stock went up by 20,000. Does that have anything to do with Trump? Yeah, 100% has to do with Trump because what is stock? Well, stock is wealthy people investing in companies to make money passively. I know people are like, I have 4 shares on Robinhood, but that's not the fucking Wall Street that we're talking about, okay? That's great that you're like a little meme trader, but if you own like 10 or even 100 shares, you ain't Wall Street, buddy. We're talking about companies that dump billions into fucking stocks, okay? And the reason they all shut up once Trump got elected is because they're like, oh, fuck, a CEO just got elected president of America. He's going to let these companies run loose. That's why yesterday I was talking about, I think I mentioned it. It was in my live stream notes down below. the news about how get prepared for more E. coli, because they're gonna make McDonald's and all the suppliers that get food to McDonald's have looser regulations, so they don't have to protect people as much. They don't have to pass safety standards. They don't have to pass the FDA Food and Drug Administration testing. They're not going to have such harsh requirements which keep us safe. So companies think this is fucking. That's like one bad thing. Like if you see Wall Street go up and people tell you the economy's great, you're fucked. Okay? Because we are not Wall Street. I know there's a financial economy in America that a lot of people, not people that go to work every day, not if you own 8 stocks of something, okay? I'm talking about moving hundreds of millions of dollars in stock. Yeah, I know there are day traders and that's how they make a living, but we ain't talking about you. We're talking about the people that it really makes money for. I'm talking about second, third yacht money, not even second, third home. I'm talking about yachts that fucking need to refurbish bridges to get through. So, oh, that's really sad. I'm just trying. Very sad. I've had quite a few people who have done the same in my life, including my father. So yeah, and plus people are speculating that Trump's going to unleash Bitcoin fury in America and put a lot of people that are into the Bitcoin. But think about it. Trump has a Bitcoin out, or a meme coin, a shit coin. He does NFTs, digital trading cards. I mean, here's the sad part about it. I mean, if you're into Bitcoin or Ethereum or some of those, there's some that are legit. But look at like Logan Paul and these scam artists that it's ripe for scammers. That's all I'll say. So you have to be very careful where you dump your money, because I hear more and more stories of people dumping life savings and then getting a rug pulled on them. Just go watch CoffeeZilla. What year is it? I don't know. With a name like Michael Knight, you'd think it was 1989. Jesus. I'm just kidding. That's a cool name. Michael Knight. The Dark Michael Knight. Batman. Okay, so hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let's talk about a podcast that somebody wrote an article about. This is such a weird fucking time to be living. I read an article in the news today about, do you guys remember the show Boy Meets World? It was a show in the 90s. I loved it. I loved Topanga. I loved that Little Savage brother. Ryder Strong I thought was cool. I thought all those kids were cool. Boy Meets World was just a cool show at the time. And then Mr. Wilson, what was that teacher's name? Mr. something? I don't remember the teacher's name. And I remember this episode where they tried to tackle alcoholism in 22 minutes on Boy Meets World. Well, I read an article that basically digested and regurgitated what the Boy Meets World podcast discussed about this alcoholism episode. And I thought, how fucking weird is that? That we have people writing articles about podcasts, like Cliff Notes articles on podcasts. People do it for Joe Rogan. People do it for, I guess, Pod Meets World is the Boy Meets World podcast, which is fucking hilarious that we have a Boy Meets World podcast. And it's even funnier and weirder to me that people are listening to that podcast and then going, I'm going to write an article about this. And I click on it and read it. And then I talk about it in the news on YouTube. We are fucked as a society, let me tell you that. I look like the cop from Stranger Things. Hop. That's a good one, Michael Knight. That's a good one. Topanga is supposed to be my wife. Do you know the story about Topanga, Wonder? Do you know, Wonder? Topanga, if you look into this. So Topanga's husband, I don't know if they're still together, is a guy, what's his name? He's a freestyle artist from the 90s, right? He's this white Jewish kid from LA. He wrote a book called Kanye West Owes Me $300. I read the book. It's a phenomenal book. And then on Twitter, back when it was Twitter, he found a shrimp tail in his Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and he went viral for it. And once he went viral, people started calling him out for the abusive relationship, allegedly, that he had with Topanga, because he was married to her. And I guess he was very, like, isolated her and all these weird things that I didn't really follow into. Jensen Karp. That's his name. Jensen Karp. What a weird fucking last name. Karp. What are they, fishermen? What's up, Curtis? So Topanga is married to Jensen Karp. I should have looked this up, but once that shrimp tail, he sent it out to get tested to prove that it was real, because he wanted to prove that. But I believe it. I mean, with the looser regulations, you're gonna get shrimp tails in all your Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But what's up, Cindy? How you doing? We're talking about Pod Meets World, the Boy Meets World podcast. Or we're gonna talk about it. Yes, there's a boy. If you remember the show Boy Meets World, the Ryder Strong and Topanga, I think, have a podcast now called Pod Meets World. Somebody wrote an article summarizing one episode, and I'm summarizing that for you. Well, I'm not summarizing. We're gonna have some commentary on it. But yeah, so the interesting thing about Topanga and Jensen Karp, Topanga's husband Jensen Karp, is a fascinating story. There's a tattoo in Boston. So in this article I read about a podcast and people talked about. That's the one thing I love about podcasts, by the way, because you can get the story directly from the people. Back when I was growing up, you'd have to watch like Behind the Music, fucking, behind the sitcom, some ETV or VH1 episode to see stuff like this. Now everybody's got a podcast. Every podcast is like Behind the Music, or enter industry here, Behind the Music, behind the comedy, behind the sitcom, behind the whatever, behind the closed doors. That's what every podcast is to me. Makes sense. She's beautiful. If you have trust issues, yeah, that's right. I think he had big trust issues, but it's fascinating, Wonder. So, yeah, it's a fascinating tale. We can dive into that at a different time. But the weird thing is like, I had interviewed Jensen Karp. He came in on the radio show. We became like friends with him. And then all that stuff happened. And you slowly start to try to distance yourself because you're like, I want nothing to do with that if that's true. I don't want to be a enabler. You got to call that shit out, stamp it out when you see it. But on this Boy Meets World podcast, Ryder Strong, who I forget his name in the episode. I forget all their names besides Topanga. Nobody knows anyone's names besides Topanga. But they talked about, there was an episode, which I remember watching this, and it was 22 minutes long. Those episodes, 22 minutes, 8 minutes commercials. And they tried to tackle alcoholism. It's the funniest thing to read about them recollecting how, like, the first part of the episode, they're drinking beers because Corey got broken up with. Corey Savage, Ben Savage's little brother. Topanga broke up with him or whatever. So they're drinking beers. Even in the article, they say they were peeing on cop cars, which I'm like, yo, what kind of fucking show? I don't remember that, but that's hilarious that they had them like totally anarchist peeing on cop cars to show alcoholism. And then Corey stops and Ryder Strong's character doesn't stop. And then they think he has a problem because his dad was an alcoholic. And then it wraps up at 22 minutes. And he was saying, like, that's not an appropriate way. And there are other shows that tackle this stuff. And I think there's a lot of shows nowadays that miss this mark. Like, I was trying to get my kids, even though they're much older than Mr. Rogers. There's Mr. Rogers on Tubi, which is a free app, and they play his show. So if you have little kids, have them watch it. But I think so many shows used to tackle important topics like this, like alcoholism. Mr. Rogers tackled racism, the assassination, so many topics that we're speaking to kids. I feel like it's kind of been lost. But again, it's not something you can do appropriately in 22 minutes. I think the show that they referenced that did 2 episodes, less commercials. They really not went in depth because you can't go in depth, but I thought it was funny that they were checked out and made some half-ass alcohol, like don't drink alcohol. It was the Just Say No to Drugs episode of Boy Meets World. I miss the Mikey show. It's so boring now. I love Eddie. Those cats are good. Listen, they had I don't know, is Zeth still phone screener for them? Do you know? Whenever they hired Zeth, if he's still there, I was trying to go for the phone screener. And they're like, are you sure? And I was like, fuck, man, I just want to get back into radio. So I would have been on the show, but I couldn't. They were like, we're not offering health insurance for the phone screener because it was just like an hourly thing, how I started there. But listen, who knows? Maybe Thor will come back to Long Island and they'll reach out to me. And then I'll be back on air in San Diego. Rob, I know it's off subject. Who's one of the best interviews or day that you've had doing radio? Oh, I'll tell you the one that I can never, well, I met Chris Cornell. Chris Cornell came in studio, which was, I don't really remember it, but I just remember meeting him, which was cool. But those days that people come in, like fucking all of a sudden, because we get there at like 4 a.m, right? All of a sudden, everybody's there at 6 a.m. You're like, the sales team isn't here till like noon. What are you guys doing here? And of course, everybody's there but one of the ones I really remember is, Scott Weiland, the singer of Stone Temple Pilots. Scott Weiland, when I was on the Mikey show, Mikey is a addict, former is a sober addict. I'm a sober addict, and Scott Weiland called in, and Scott Weiland, just so you know, has since passed away. He overdosed, but he had called in for an interview, and him and Mikey started going off this down this road, not talking about whatever the album or touring again, and started talking about addiction and his kids and all. And he really got really candid, and he caught himself, and he went whoa, and he like it was like a Howard Stern moment where like people just get so open and so vulnerable, and he caught himself. He's like, man, we got to talk about like the CD or something, or whatever they were promoting, like the going back out on tour. And he stopped himself from getting that open, which sucked because you don't want to see the people's persona. You want to hear about the person. That's the other thing I think podcasts have done amazingly for this the entertainment industry is like people can be real. Yeah, there's still characters and all that, but people can give that insight, and I think that's what people really want. Like they don't want to see the character, the celebrity dancing up on stage, the rock star on stage. They want to know, and and that was a weird moment to hear him be like, I'm saying too much. That really sticks out in my mind. There's a ton of different things. We could talk about that at some other time. Thank you, Wonder. I appreciate that, man. Good people. The sense of humor just changed. Oh yeah, I believe it. Well, they're probably a little bit dirtier now, I'm guessing. I don't know. But you're going to get it. Listen, the sense of humor is going to change. It's not better or worse, I don't think. It's just, like you said, changed. Because you got Thor in there, Emily, who I remember when Emily was working at the front desk when I was on the air. She's fucking hilarious. I partied with her for a long time. I've known Emily forever. She's good shit. I love her. And Thor's good, but Thor's got a Long Island sense of humor. And listen, I love Thor to death, man. I remember that when that kid was an intern. But fuck Long Island. I'm sorry. Fuck Long Island. I love Thor, but fuck Long Island. Long Island sucks. I don't know much that is good has come out of Long Island. And not like the Manhattan side. I'm talking about like the long ass island part. So, but I'll give them all shit. I love all of them. But yeah, they're still a fucking dominant. They're such a talented team of hardworking radio entertainers, and I wish radio would take more notes from them, because fucking they know what to do. Radio is just a different form of entertainment, comparative to like TV, movies, blend it all into an audio theater. Shit, I got way off topic. We were talking about Boy Meets World. Fuck Boy Meets World. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I go live 5 days a week. What was it? Oh, the other thing is Harriet Tubman on Veterans Day got honored as a general, which thank fucking God. You know what really bugs me is like if Harriet Tubman, I think, was in a not racist country, she would be so fucking celebrated. When you think about what Harriet Tubman did, okay, risking her life to save over 150 people that were in shackles, in bondage, in slavery, and kept going back after she won her own freedom. And she was a black woman in the mid 1800s. My cousin John Brown fucking loved her, and her story is so remarkable. And it's only because America has this deep-seated misogyny and racism that she isn't more celebrated. Because she is a fucking cowboy, and I know this country loves cowboys, so I'm going to say as a cowboy. She's a cowboy and a half. She was a ruthless, fucking selfless, heroic, iconic person. I think she should be on the 20. I'm pissed that they gave her a 1-star brigadier general honorary posthumously after they're dead. They gave her that honor, which I'm stoked, but like put her on the $20 bill. If you know anything about Andrew Jackson, he was a piece of shit. I hate that dude. I don't know how he's on our 20. But when you think about it, like remove, if maybe you're like, I don't know too much about it, just remove everything that you thought and just go back and read her story. Whatever kind of bias you have, read Harriet Tubman's story. It is so fucking remarkable. This woman could have been ended. She was the South's #1 most wanted. She created the underground. I mean, when you think about it, that's so American. Harriet Tubman is one of the most Americans. She should be celebrated like the founding fathers, and she's not, and that bums me out. Cyborg Gamer YouTube, what's up? Bro, you're fired. It's called X now. Twitter. I'm a creator of Twitter, just tuning in. Oh, thank God it's called Twitter. Still, I still call it Twitter. Good for you, Twitter. Definition of a hero, 100%. Because Amelia Earhart. I don't know much about Amelia Earhart. I know a lot of... Listen, my daughter loves Harriet Tubman. We got a painting on the wall of her. My daughter did from like first till fourth grade, my daughter did every report on Harriet Tubman. I was like, this is now cheating because you know so much about her that you can just write this report, with your eyes closed. I made her switch. I don't know much about Amelia, but I know that just between imagine freeing yourself from slavery and being like, that was fucking crazy. I'm going back to rescue a bunch of people. And then she served as a spy, a nurse, all this in the Civil War. I mean, she was the first woman to lead an American military. There is no doubtedly nobody more iconically American than Harriet Tubman. And that's my fucking opinion. That's the commentary you get. But I wish we could. I remember there was some hubbub about this years ago. I think back when I was on the Mikey show, or maybe when I was on the show in Boston. They were talking about Harriet Tubman on the 20, and I don't know what happened to that, but I wish that would go through. Nobody's got no fucking ties to Andrew Jackson, that fucking asshole. I was gonna say some other stuff, but we'll just stick with asshat. All right, guys. That's all the news I have for today. Again, I'm trying to sift through the political and like the Bitcoin stuff. I'm seeing all this Bitcoin, like Bitcoin's gonna run wild. And it's like, yeah, we just hope it doesn't crash or there isn't some rug pull by the really wealthy. What's that dude that does the Mad Money TV show? If you ever seen his clip on YouTube where he talks about how basically these big companies and these really wealthy people influence the market with how much money they put into it, and they do it artificially, so it's basically cheating, but because they're just using their money to sway the market, it's technically not illegal. And he breaks this all down on YouTube, and it's like he's explaining how the game's rigged, folks. I mean, if you're one of them or you have their information, that's how they could crash the market so many times. That's how we can have so many financial crashes and they'll always get bailed out because it's a fucking backdoor handshake. Again, George Carlin. All right, so please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I go live 5 days a week. We're going to put a toothpick in today's conversation. But I love the dialogue. So Wonder, always good to see you. Thank you for the commentary. Curtis, good for you to stop in. Solus was here. So good to see Solus. Cyborg Gamer, cool ass name. And Cindy Sparks was here. Michael Knight. And then Jesse Higgins. I got to be on the lookout for Jesse Higgins. He's going to try to get me tomorrow. So thank you so much for tuning in. Much love and respect. Peace.